Good afternoon. My name is Joseph Lloyd and I source cars for people on a professional basis. Although most of the cars I source are between £1,000 and £5,000, very often I've been asked to show something a little bit cheaper on the channel, and so I came up with No Budget Reviews, the series where we look at cars that you can buy in good condition with an MOT for under £1,000 and you can enjoy driving. We don't film this in an expensive manner, we don't use separate microphones, we don't use fluid head tripods, we don't even use a DSLR, but we do have a lot of fun. Before we get into this twin review, just a little bit of context for you. Ibby, who is one of my regular viewers and has offered numerous cars for the channel in the past, which you would have seen, has two forbidden fuel Mark V Volkswagen Golf 2 litre GT Sports, one from 2004 and I believe one from 2006. It might actually be a 2007, I will check that later. And so what you're going to see first is the 2004 model, and then you will see the later one. The first ever twin review that we've done on this channel. I do hope that you enjoy it. So viewers, we are at the Grove in Watford, listening to peacocks and other things. This in the 1960s was a British Rail training centre. It's not now, it's a very nice hotel, but it was a location for all kinds of things like, I don't know, the Avengers, the Champions, Department S, etc, etc, all the sort of things that you've heard me quote on the channel and things. So yes, Mark V Golf came out late 2003. This is a 2004, so it's a pretty early one. As you can see, it's had a few repairs at the sort of bottom over the course of time. Some of them haven't been done particularly well, but you know, given this is no budget reviews, I don't think we're going to mind too much about that sort of thing. One of the first things that was the new design language for these cars when they came out was the Volkswagen badge which you used to lift up the boot. This one, you see, Ibby's got a bit more work to actually do to this. Ibby has supplied a lot of cars to the channel in the past, and including the Suzuki Grand Vitara, the Jaguar XF Sport Brake, and the MG ZT 120. So I'm sure bits of it are going back. It just he's actually got two of these at the moment, and we like very cheap cars that are in all sorts of conditions for no budget reviews, because that is interesting. The later GT model has different wheels from this and a slightly different interior and a different front end. The front is a sort of classic front end, really. I think Ibby's had a new bumper and some new wings on this as well. But it's a very recognisable shape to most of us. It's very much an evolution from the Mark IV, and you know, the Mark VI doesn't look pretty different from this either. I think they're actually on the same platform, along with, you know, Octavias and Seat Leons and all sorts of things. So we get into the back. One of the things I'm straight away very kind of aware of is just how much more room there is in the back of this than other Golfs that I've been in, older ones. You can put your feet right underneath these seats. It's pretty comfortable in here. Got curtain airbags in here as well. We've even got sort of different types of rear door pockets. That one, I think, if I just one hand flick it up, is a little ashtray thing, which I will replace in 1 second because it's fallen off. There would be something on there as well. I don't know why that trim panel's fallen off. The fact you've got rear ventilation in here is quite interesting, actually. Of course, electric windows and things. Don't have it, despite the fact this is a GT, we don't have the centre armrest in here, which is sort of intriguing. with these cars, one of the main issues is the the central locking system and the door handles sometimes play up. And as you can see on this switch, the coating that they put on there, this sort of soft rubber coating, has kind of come off, which is another thing that tends to happen with these. But yes, it's interesting to see these rear vents. You can't adjust for temperature or anything like that, and some nice proper map pockets. So it's a sort of mixture between kind of, even they've put this sort of funny coating on the rear interior door handles and sort of bits of silver trim, whereas some bits just kind of don't seem to be able to stand the test of time. It's an interesting thing, but in comparison with a lot of cabins of similar sized cars of the era, it's actually not bad at all, really. I think of a lot worse than this. Sort of like the Mark II McGann springs to mind, and it doesn't look too bad. It's just a bit sort of dark and not the most exciting, but I think it's all very clear and nicely laid out. Let's go to the front. Okay, these door handles have been everywhere, haven't they, in all sorts of Volkswagen Group cars. It's interesting with this floor-hinged accelerator pedal. We'll talk a bit more about that a bit later. If I switch the car on, sure, am I in gear or anything? And turn the lights on. You can just about see we've got blue backlighting for them, which is good. No warning lights or anything on this. Just turn the engine off 1 second, just onto that, so we can just have it operate the dual zone climate control and the radio, which I'm not going to put on for copyright reasons. I don't know what this is supposed to be up here. Presumably it's more ventilation and things. My mount is up there, as you can see what it is, why it wobbles so much, although I don't think it's going to be a problem today because we're driving quite slowly. Very big glove box. I've reached my secret mission documents. I think they probably will go in there. Top posh, which actually is a quotation from the Avengers, although yes, the actual episode that quotation comes from was filmed at the Grove in an area that doesn't exist anymore. Probably sort of behind that wall somewhere. Interesting, that, isn't it? Fabric obviously wears, quite well. This side, not so well on that side. Depends what's been going on. Overhead console storage for sunglasses and things. I've heard the headlinings on this car do droop sometimes, but this one's okay. The dashboard is sort of soft touch, which is unusual for a car of this stage. Normal handbrake, thank goodness. Some cup holders. Got ESP in this car, cigarette lighter and place to dump stuff. And a CD disc changer in the centre armrest. Very fancy. Must be an option or something on one of these. Yeah, I mean it's nice and clearly laid out. But one thing I don't think this car has is cruise control, which is surprising possibly. It's got a nice trip computer to fiddle around with on the end of the wiper stalk. I think those are automatic lights, but I'm not quite too sure. Yeah, I mean it's comfortable enough. There's a little adjustment in the steering wheel and the seat that you can do. Yeah. Okay, let's have a look under the bonnet. Before we do, we can see more of the sort of plastic coating that sort of comes off the switches and things like that, and also this car's actually got a remote release for the fuel flap. The fuel flaps apparently as well aren't the best on Mark V Golfs. One of the things about a Mark V Golf is there's not an awful lot to see because you've got this huge plastic cover over the engine, and the only thing that's really on show is the windscreen washer reservoir, coolant reservoir, which is the same as in everything from Volkswagen since about 1995. And there's the breakthrough reservoir. Apart from that, everything's covered up, so not a lot to sort of say really. But this is the 2-litre TDI with 140 horsepower, and it's got a nice big Volkswagen badge on the front. Well, here we are. cruising the mean streets of Watford once again. Going to go off towards a location that was used in the filming of a lot of older 1960s and sometimes 70s TV series, which is called The Grove. It used to be a British Rail trading centre, and now it is a large luxury hotel. We might just nip up the drive and take a look. Just like last time I was here, it's raining. I don't know why. Every time I come and see Ibby, it rains. I'm not sure why that is the case, but there we go. So yeah, this is the 2004 Golf 2-litre TDI GT. This has 140 horsepower. Now the engine in this car was used in all sorts of other types of car. The most interesting one for me being the Chrysler Sebring that I drove in 2009 to 2007. Obviously it's the forbidden fuel variety, and so I'll have to not talk about something because we don't talk about diesels on this channel. Whoops. Never mind. This of course is for No Budget Reviews ULEZ non-compliant edition, so yes, I think that's all very clear. Just wetting up these lights to change. I can feel there's a fair bit of vibration coming through the clutch pedal of this. The gearbox this doesn't really feel too bad. The driving position is quite good. The accelerator pedal is a lot larger than I thought it would be, and it's hinged on the floor, I think, which is sort of more like a BMW type thing. The lights are on at the moment. I think there's automatic lights in this car, but I've put them on manual anyway because sometimes when it rains, it is a bit funny in that respect, and a lot of cars don't actually turn the lights on when you want them. So in this GT model, I think we've got slightly firmer suspension than would have been standard on a Mark V Golf, but it seems reasonable enough. One thing I'm grateful for actually in this car is it's got a central display, but it's a monochrome one. It's not a touchscreen or anything like that. If it had been a touchscreen, you know, in 2004, touchscreens were very much in their infancy, and you know that's obviously not the best when you're driving. But yeah, it feels very familiar. The gearbox feels very familiar. I've also driven this engine back in the day in an Audi A3. That was, I think, a 3-door actually, that one. Now we're in a sort of 30 limit. It's not particularly exciting. I mean, we might get on some faster roads in a bit. I would go over the list of engines in this section, but we're going to have to do that later because there's so many engines. So many engines in this car. Unbelievable amount. I don't know why. The Mark V Golf was only in production for quite a short amount of time. Not like the Mark 7.5 that lasted absolutely ages. This car was only in production from 2003 until 2008-9. It's not that long really, but they had loads of engines. In fact, I think I'm going to try to have a go at that, but just let me pause for a second and consider my options whilst I do that. We go. At launch, there was a 1.4 engine developing 75 horsepower. That was later up to 80 horsepower. There was also the FSI version of that engine developed 90 horsepower. There was a 1.6 FSI engine as well that developed 115 horsepower, and later there was a 1.6 normal version of that 102 horsepower. There was also a 2-litre FSI engine which developed 150 horsepower. But it was also sold in the GT. This is a GT but with a forbidden fuel engine. Then we got the 1.4 TSI engines. The base one of those was called just the normal turbo one. It was 122 horsepower. That came on much later. It replaced the 1.6 FSI engine in about 2006-2007. Then there were two other TSI engines. Now these were called the twin charge units. They had a turbocharger and a supercharger. And like this forbidden fuel car, there were two power outputs for it. There was 140, 170. Above that there was the GTI, which developed 200 horsepower, 2-litre turbo. Then there was the 30th edition, 30 or 30th anniversary edition, that developed 230 horsepower. And from what I remember, I might be wrong about this, I will check this later, then there was the R32, which developed 260 horsepower. Then we get onto the Befitting fuel engines that I'm finding myself talking about them because I'm oh dear. Bottom of the range was the 2-litre non-turbo SDI version. I can't say I recommend that. 75 horsepower. Then there were a pair of 1.9 TDIs with 90 and 105 horsepower. Then there were the 2-litre ones like this. This is 140 and there was 170. Now there were also, I think, Blue Motion editions of some of them, and also there was the DPF version of this engine, and also the 170. But I think that's about it. If I got that wrong, I will actually double check that. But yes, you know, we actually kind of made it through, viewers. We actually made it. Well, here we are, viewers. The beautiful surroundings of the Grove. And it's quite suitable as well for me because I don't have to drive very fast, and so the camera doesn't actually jump up around in the mount, which I'm sure you'll appreciate. Here is the bridge over the river there that was used in the 1968 episode of the Avengers called They Keep Killing Steve. Sid Child, Linda Forson's stunt double actually jumped off the bridge. She was in a car actually with Ian Ogilvy before she jumped off. I've been here before. Anyway, I'm supposed to be talking about Golfs. I got a bit distracted, possibly because I'm being naughty and talking about the forbidden fuel. Anyway, the trims available in the Mark V Golf were S, SE, Match, Sport, GT, like this one, GT Sport, Blue Motion S, Blue Motion Match, GTI, R32, and then GTI 30 edition. There actually aren't that many, considering, you know, the popularity of this car around the world. There were, you know, so many of these sold in so many different countries. One of the things I've noticed, apart from the vibration through the clutch pedal and idle, is actually this car's really to drive. The gearbox is quite nice. This car's done 114,000 miles, so you know, you'd sort of expect it to feel a bit worn, and you know, it kind of does. It's not a car that's free from faults. And one of the main things in one of these is the dreaded dual mass flywheel in the TDI engines, which you know, do cause issues. Other things that sort of go wrong are things like you would have seen in the section earlier on, the rubber coating coming off some of the interior bits, like the switches, and headlining sagging and central locking and things like that. They also do rust, and you've probably seen that on the car already. Platform stablemates of this car, things like the Skoda Octavia, the Seat Leon, and you know, the Golf itself produced plenty of variants. I mean, the EOS was basically a Golf with a folding metal roof. Then there were the Golf Estate and the Jetta as well, of course, which are very similar to this. So yeah, plenty to plenty to kind of choose from if this is something that you were interested in. A lot of these cars are now available at no budget reviews money. The ride is pretty good. The road's quite smooth here, but the ride seems pretty good, even on the GT suspension, as I said earlier. Right, I think that is quite enough. Let's just see if I got those engines earlier correct. I've just checked the footage back against my secret mission documents, and I was actually right about those power outputs for all these engines. I don't know how I remembered all those. I'm a bit disturbed about my knowledge sometimes. The only thing I got wrong was the 3.2 VR6 with the R32 Golf, which developed 250, not 260 horsepower. But that's not too bad, really. I think, though, we can't quite finish the review here. We're going to have to keep going, and we're now going to drive the 170 brake horsepower 2006 car. At least I think it's a 2006. I will correct that if it's not, and maybe that's more enjoyable. I don't know. Here we go. Right, viewers, here we are in the 2006 170 brake horsepower car. The reason I kept going on about didn't know if it was a 2006 or 2007 is because it's a 56 plate, and so it could actually be either, unless you check something like the V5 or the MOT history online or something. It's very strange, this car. I straight away feel, and once you get away from the lights, I'll be able to test this, that there is a lot more power going on. There seems to be some kind of sort of whine from the turbo a lot more in this one. Don't know why that is, but you know, it feels similar. We've got this sample, we've got a GT badge this time, where we didn't have one of those before. Just minor specification changes, and when we look at the outside of the car a little bit later, we'll be able to see that. For some reason, this car's not got dual zone climate control. It's just got standard air conditioning in it. For whatever reason, I presume the dual zone climate control of the 2004 car was an option or something. But yes, we'll get away from these lights in a second, and we'll see how it fares on the open road. So, different route this time. Still near the Grove, but we're on the public road. We can get a bit more performance than just driving up and down that driveway. Apart from seeing early Volvo 940s, it's quite a pleasant little drive, and the suspension's actually very good. Just got a little humpback bridge there. Steering actually has more feedback than I thought it would in something like this. I think it's an electrical hydraulic setup. This being the 170 brake horsepower engine, you can really feel that difference. It's probably got about an 8-second 0 to 60 time, this one. And unfortunately my fuel light's just come on. But yes, it seems to grip the road really well. These cars have independent rear suspension, and that probably does help a little bit. So yeah, just acres and acres of torque. The gear change in this one seems nicer than the 2004 model for some reason. I don't know why. This one's got slightly higher mileage, so I don't know why that would be. But yes, it's actually pretty nice to drive. You know, I prefer one of the petrols myself. Of course, we can't talk about these on this channel particularly, but there we go. It's Let's nip in here and have a look around the car. Okay viewers, we've come to some woods just near the Grove, and we can see straight away with this 2006 GT that there is a completely different front bumper. Now the car had a little impact there, and that headlight's been replaced, and so that's going to be a lower panel will be replaced as well. But yeah, it's a completely different front bumper for one of these. Different wheels as well. Previous car had 16-inch wheels, these are 17-inch wheels. Doesn't look too different from the rest of it. The rear lights and everything sort of look the same. Open up the boot, actually this one's got the sort of carpet and things in it, which the other one didn't have. It's still missing whatever should be in here. I think probably we will be remedying that soon. Twin exhausts on this one as well, presumably it's the 170 horsepower version. I'd like some parking sensors on a car like this, if it's a sort of luxury one or sporty one or whatever, but we don't have them, or reversing camera. I'm not going to get in the back and sort of test the room because it's exactly the same. Still got the same sort of issue with this sort of plastic coating coming off, and that's what the panel looks like when there's something actually installed in there. Slightly different seat fabric, still no rear armrest, which I think is a bit mean, but there we go. For some odd reason, despite it being a later car, this hasn't got the dual zone climate control, it's just got standard air conditioning, which Volkswagen call climatic. I don't know what the difference between that is and standard air and climate control is. I'm not really sure. Standard aircon. The cigarette light has been renamed to 12 volt. Don't know what W on is. Really, I don't understand that. Might be something to do with traction control or something. Same sort of glove box. Won't bother with cigarette documents again. That switch has really had it, hasn't it? The coats have really come off that one. Although the fabric panel's better. No sign of a sagging roof lining. Why was that open? How strange. It's broken. All sorts of lights to play with if you want, of course. Ooh, no CD disc changer this time. But we still get the standard handbrake and the cup holders. And we also, I just put the key in there. Sometimes that means my hands get in the way of the camera lens, and sometimes you hear a sort of funny shuffling noise. It's not a shambolic shuffle this time though, it's just a shambolic in general. This has got an aftermarket head unit in it. I imagine this car would have had a sort of quite a different one in here. That's just me telling me I haven't got much fuel, but I'm not going very far, so it doesn't really matter. For some reason as well, there's no sort of extra ventilation panel on the top. Don't really know why. Interesting. Apart from that, standard. Also, I think we could actually, this one, yes, you can probably see the blue backlighting a little bit more because it's slightly darker where we are filming this. So yeah. Other than that, there's not a lot else to sort of say. The trim might be slightly different in colour in this one. I don't know. Yes, more evidence of that plastic coating coming off. Probably seemed like a great idea at the time, but now not so much. Let's have a look under the bonnet. So with this one, the plastic cover has been taken off, or it's sort of missing, so you can see a lot more actually how the engine works. I suspect the plastic cover's just been dispensed with, but pretty much the same under here. I'm sure some experts will tell me what the differences are between the 140 and 170 horsepower engines, but I can't really see much difference myself. We can see that the grille is completely different on this car, and cloudy headlamps are a problem on Mark V Golfs and all sorts of other cars of this era as well. That's what they should look like, of course. But yes, there we go.
So, viewers, should you buy a Mark V Volkswagen Golf? In this case, specifically, a 2-litre TDI GT model, either with 140 or 170 horsepower. Well, I don't know. I mean, they drive quite nicely, these cars. I've always thought that. And, you know, some of the engines are reasonably good. A lot of them do have problems. The GTIs have problems, the FSI engines have problems, the TSI twin charger engines have problems, these 2-litre forbidden fuel engines have problems, and of course the biggest problem of all is, you know, we're in Watford, and we're not too far from where the ultra low emission zone will be expanding to in October 2021. One of the reasons we don't talk about diesels on this channel is because this is happening all over the country now, and it's a real issue for people. So yeah, apart from, you know, things like diesel particulate filters and all sorts of other things like that, which you know, cause sort of specific issues, and VGR valves and all sorts of exciting things, you don't really want to be paying up to £15 a day just to drive your car around your local area, which is what that will be happening to people who are only maybe, like, I don't know, 10 miles from here, somewhere like Ealing. So there we go, a different episode of No Budget Reviews today, and I hope an informative one. Thank you again to Ibby for lending me both these cars for review. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more episodes of No Budget Reviews, sensible second-hand reviews, tweed jacket reviews, and sensible second-hand classics, all sorts of things we do. And like this video, leave a comment below. Don't forget to turn on notifications to be informed of new uploads. And social media links are down in the description below. Thank you very much indeed once again.